How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you.
Fantastic. So it's a real pleasure to have you today for this interview. So, James, your debut full-length studio album, Time of Legend, is to be out on November 28th. So, would you like to tell me a bit on the songwriting process and the production that goes behind this new album?
Yeah, so me and Doug got together about 2 years ago. Uh, Decided we wanted to make something that was kind of like classic 80s, maybe a bit like Priest, bit like Maiden, bit
Yeah.
like Saxon, but maybe with some more like epic keyboards and stuff, which I've been doing with like black metal for a long time. So yeah, I kind of put together the kind of basic song, and then me and Doug work on it, and he makes the riffs sound a lot more interesting. And uh, he when he records the guitars, he's obviously a fantastic guitar player. So especially when it comes, when I think, oh, and this bit of the song, it needs a solo like Adrian Smith or someone like that. Doug can play that. I can't play that. So yeah, I mean and then I can put the keyboards on afterwards and everything. It makes it very much more like cinematic. So yeah, I mean we both know what we want to do. We both work together quite well, and we live together. Live together? No, we don't live together. We live quite close to one another. So yeah, that's it's quite a quick process. If I've got an idea, I can go around his studio and we can record the parts quite easily. And it's all the production is handled by Doug's son,
No.
Jamie. So that really helps because usually when I'm recording an album, I have to do that as well, and it's really difficult to be writing and then having to worry about how it sounds at the same time. So it's quite nice for me to be able to give that to someone else to do, and then all I have to worry about is the songs.
Great, 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 great. And does Times of Legend has some kind of a concept or a theme it was focused on?
um, it was kind of we the way we wrote it was like every song was like a single,
Yeah.
so it wasn't really put together as an album. It was like a collection of like singles, I suppose. Even though we kind of live in a time where bands don't really release singles anymore, but I think I mean, you can listen to let's say you listen to uh, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son by Iron Maiden. As soon as you get to Can I Play with Madness, you know that that's the single, yeah, because it's got a memorable chorus, and it's the way the song's structured is very much like a single. And I think every song we have on the Venger album is like a single. It's just how we decide. I guess every song has its own theme. So it's like if you imagine the album as like a kind of uh, a big annual of of stories, and like each chapter is going to be about a completely different character. And so you might have one about Robin Hood, you might have one about a spaceman, you might have one about, do you know what I mean, that very kind
Yeah.
of I don't know, I guess that kind of that storybook kind of thing. The only time I've ever seen them was like, they were like, I might see them in like secondhand bookshops or something, and they might be like from the 1950s or something like that kind of style of yeah, of just kind of like epic stories, but they were like condensed to like shortened versions. Much in the same way, I think where when they were making the Indiana Jones films, the idea was to make it like that kind of a story, almost like a comic book. And I guess, yeah, I get so I guess like every song is like it's like a yes, it's a different character, it's a different story, it's a different world. They don't exist
Yeah,
in the same kind of universe in the way that Star Wars Next Generation is in the same universe as Deep Space Nine. It's more like they're completely separate. That's not to say you couldn't do part two of a song on the next album. I'm not saying that we're going to, or we've started doing that already, but every song is self-contained. I think we could have just done one song and it would have kind of come across much in the same way that the album has.
fantastic, fantastic. And a great cover artwork that goes behind this album, like is beautifully done. The work on this theme and the artwork is great. And would you like to tell me a bit on the making of the cover artwork for this album?
Right. Um, the cover art was done by a friend of mine called Mick Usher, and I worked with him over 20 years ago when I released a few albums with Earache Records, and he was there. He was the guy that would do their album covers for them, and I've always kept in touch with him. And occasionally, I might have enough to, or I might need some really epic artwork. I can do artwork, but I can't do something like that. Yeah, I could do a black metal album artwork, but I can't do what I had in my mind. And what I had in my mind was something that I wanted it to look like a film poster, uh, like Star Wars,
Yeah.
basically like Star Wars, or even like classic 80s big blockbuster film, like maybe The Goonies or Never-Ending Story or something like that. I wanted it to be bit bigger than it just needed to be epic, and it needed to be done really well. So I had got Mick to do it, and I think he did a fantastic idea, fantastic uh, version of what I had in my head. I said, right, it needs to be the characters,
Yeah.
all well as much of the album themes as you could fit in one picture. So I guess it doesn't really make much sense unless you listen to the album. Why would you have Frankenstein and Tutankhamun and the Minotaur? Why would they be in the same picture? Well, it's hopefully that will make people want to listen to the album. I mean, I would. Yeah. The thing is, I mean, I was just paying attention to like on Facebook on the news streams, and about 2 weeks ago I saw the album cover for the new Sabaton album.
Mm.
Uh, well, I'm just glad that ours wasn't red, because if it was red, it would it would have looked like this. It would have looked very similar. But that's not the. I mean, obviously, we did the artwork for our album about a year ago. It's just I think it's people obviously going for the same idea. We want it to look like a big blockbuster 80s Hollywood movie, I think.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I had the pleasure to listen to the album in its entirety, and I have to say, nine amazing songs, beautifully written, bringing back the good
Thank you.
new wave of British heavy metal back into the scene. So all these songs are amazingly done from the start to the end. Not even a single song that could be let out from this album. Like you said, each has its own theme. So these songs are, I think it was handpicked, and you got brought into the best songs into this album, and the vocals, the musicianship, so everything comes so amazingly done, and a great output of that comes from this album. And really enjoyed the entire album. And I have to thank you guys so much for putting up an awesome album this year. And
Thank you.
and as a creator, how do you guys feel about the outcome of your debut album?
Well, I'm extremely happy with it. I know Doug's extremely happy with it. We doing it kind of like I was doing it in between albums, and Doug was also doing in between albums because he just finished. It just finished the Saxon album, and I'd just finished. It's over there. I won't get it. I just finished an Old Forest album, and it's just after lockdown had happened, and I think we both just, we both wanted to do something completely different, but there was only so much we could do ourselves, so we had to. When it came to the drums, I know a fantastic drummer called Sven, who I know through some friends of mine in Norway, and he also makes films and stuff. So he's a really clever, very creative guy to have. But we found it quite hard to find a vocalist. So I was thinking, who could we get to do the vocals? And I remembered that a friend of mine in Austria had sent me a video of his friend's band called Roadwolf, and the vocals for that were kind of like exactly what it needed, something really big. So luckily, Franz Bauer was happy to record the vocals for this album. I mean, it adds something else to it. It brings it up to another level, and I mean, Doug has that working with Saxon when he works with Biff, who's got fantastic voice. Uh, for me, it's never been so. I've done a lot of metal over the years, but I've never done anything with vocals quite as epic as that. So really glad we found the vocals and the drums, and everyone's really good at what they do, and it all came together. And I think it's as good as anything else that I've heard. Um, and it's obviously, it's a lot more commercial than a lot of the stuff I do. So yeah, it's been quite a challenge, but also very quite exciting as well. We're both really pleased with it.
Fantastic, amazing. And about a month ago, you released your first single from this album, From Worlds Unknown. So would you like to tell me a bit on the making of this music video?
Oh, yeah, it was well, we were kind of pushed to make a video, so we decided we were going to do a video and band photos at the same time, which is not as easy as you might think because the drummer is in Norway and the vocalist is in Austria. So I think we had to get together so in the same place at the same time. So we used a big rehearsal studio, which is actually where Saxon rehearse their albums before they record them. It just so happens to be in the town that I live in. So yeah, I think that Franz, when he came from Austria, he arrived at like 6 p.m. We made the video, finished at like 11,
Mm.
and then 8 o'clock the next morning we started the photos, and him and the drummer both left at about 7 p.m. on the Sunday. So it was done with probably in about 24-hour period. It was quite busy.
Great, great. And are you guys planning to come up with another music video from this album?
um would like to. I mean, when we made the video, we did make another one
Mm.
uh for perhaps a second single, but I think we need to come up with an idea that could make it slightly different. Want to. I mean, I did have an idea for a good idea for another song. I wanted to do a video for the song Crystal Gazer, and it was going to have like a story to it. But we're not using that as one of the singles. So it's the song on the album that's probably the closest, at least at the beginning. It's probably the closest to a ballad. Uh, but I mean, if money was no object and time wasn't important, then I'd love to do something with computer graphics, like classic 80s computer graphics.
Sounds great. Sounds great. As you are in your own band and Doug is very much busy with Saxon, do you think there'll be plans for a touring for Venger?
I think I think if the album does well, and if we were given some offers to play at maybe some festivals, I think that might be an option. But obviously, Doug's number one thing is Saxon, and it would then depend on the rest of us being
Yeah.
able to do it. I mean, we'd probably have to get some extra people in anyway because I can't play the bass and the keyboards and the guitar at the same time.
Yeah. Gotcha, gotcha. And would you like to tell me how you guys got together, you and Doug got together and wanted to start Venger, and how did you chose the name Venger for this project?
Yeah, so me and Doug have a mutual friend. We've both known him for about 30 years, but he's never introduced us. So the first time I met Doug, I met him for about a minute, and it was after I played with a band at the Grass Pop festival in 2016. And I just said, I forgot to mention that we had a mutual friend. I just said, "Oh, I'm where?" They said, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from Brighton." And they said, "But the band you're playing in is from Norway." I said, "Yeah, but I'm from Brighton." And then him and the drummer, Doug and the drummer said, "Oh, well, we live in Brighton." So yeah, we met that once, and then I didn't see him for about 7 years, and then I bumped into him. I was in a pub, and uh, and he just happened to walk through the pub. It was very busy, and I saw him, and I thought I got to say hello to him. So I reached through the crowd, and I said, "I know who you are." And he said, "Who am I?" I said, "You play guitar in Saxon." So yeah, we exchanged contact details, and then I had some. I said to him, "I've got some kind of I got a few songs in the style of like Iron Maiden type metal, and it's music I love, but I've not recorded anything like or released anything like this before. I'd just be interested to know what you think." So we got together, and he had a listen through what I'd done, and he showed me some demos that he had lying around that weren't being used for Saxon, and I think we just decided let's just you know put together something, see how it comes out. And as for the name, I mean, it was quite tough. I mean, I was coming up with I probably came up with about 20 names, and um, in the end, I said to him, well, because I was doing logos and names, and no, I don't like that. Oh, that's okay, maybe not. And the one I came up with, I said, what about there was a cartoon in the 80s called Dungeons and Dragons, and the the bad guy in it was called Venger, and he said, oh, that sounds good. And I said, well, yeah, okay, yeah, let's go with that. So. Yeah, I mean, I guess the character with he's got the one horn, and he's like the antagonist of the realm of Dungeons and Dragons, and this whole idea of it being a realm of like fantasy and stuff. It looked like dark fantasy with like kind of monsters and dragons and magic and stuff. It seemed to I think it fits quite well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. And moving on from the debut album, what would be next for Venger?
Um, Well, Doug's quite busy with Saxon. I think they started a European tour or a UK tour like 2 days ago. So he's kind of tied up with that, and then they're doing like a European tour in early 26. Uh, I'm going to be working on two different albums of my own stuff, and then so I guess when everything calms down with Saxon, then there'll probably be about a few months where he's not doing anything, and then we'll start putting together a few songs and seeing how they sound, and how, hopefully they'll sound just as good as the stuff we've put together just now. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time. If we have the time and if we have the time to do it, then it will sound great. It's just and if people wanted us to play live and it was possible to fit that in with schedules as well, I think we'd definitely be up for doing that as well.
Great, great, great. And speaking on Venger's songwriting or theme, like now that the band has started, so in the upcoming albums or in the future, what is the topic that will be focusing on?
Um, I th I think more of this, more of the same. More kind of characters from mythology, characters from science fiction, maybe some maybe some films.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much you can do, but anything that's kind of escapist. And we're not gonna do songs about like the New World Order and Donald Trump and stuff like that because it's not that kind of a band. There's nothing about like the world in it. It's just pure escapist. But because it's metal, it has to have slightly a dark undertones to it. But yeah, I think there's such a wide variety of source material that we can draw from. I mean, on the first album, there's a song about Tower of Babylon, so that's like it's a biblical thing. Then we've got like a Minotaur, Greek mythology. Then we've got the Curse of the Pharaoh. Oh, then we've got the Curse of the Pharaoh, and yeah, it's just and all from horror stories, Frankenstein or Dracula. I mean, it's all been done. Well aware of that. It's all been done a million times by other bands, but it doesn't mean we can't do it as well. Not because I think we're doing it for the same reasons, and that's because they're strong characters. Some of them protagonists, most of them antagonists. It's just it's a good setup for creating a story. Is when you've already got an established character which you can then build upon, or an established idea, because then people are like, I know that story, and then it's like you can build the world around it, but both the artist and the listener have already got like a head start in the competition to kind of create a world within the song.
great. And finally, any message that you want to share with the fans around the world?
Well, I think we're still trying to get them at the moment. So yeah, if you haven't heard it, I think you'd really like it if you're a fan of the Maiden's later '80s output, like Power Slave or Somewhere in Time or Saxon's later albums, like well, the new one, Hellfire and Damnation, or Unleash the Beast, or Metalhead. Albums like that, albums where it's a big sounding album, I think, and it's thoroughly entertaining. I mean, I can now listen to it as someone who's not involved in making it anymore, so I'm now listening to it as a fan, I guess. And I'm still listening to it 6 months after we finished it, which is not usual. Usually when you finish an album, you've heard it so many times, you don't maybe listen to it for another 5 years. But yeah, this so I mean, I think if people are thinking about checking it out, then certainly check out the first single, from Worlds Unknown, and I think if you don't like it, you won't like any of it. But if you do like it, I think you'll really like the album.
Absolutely, absolutely, James. And James, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to have you on the show. And I want to thank you and Doug and the entire band for putting up an awesome album next year. So great work, and I totally love this album. Like you guys brought back the good old new wave of British heavy metal back into the scene. Like it's all
Yes.
going back to the good old days. So thanks for all the awesomeness that you guys are putting in this album, and I'm looking for more great things from Venger. And I wish you and the band all success. And we are really hoping to see you guys on the road.
Me too. Me too. Thank you very much for your time, Keith. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Pleasure, James. Thanks very much, and have a great rest of the evening. Bye bye.
See you.
Yeah.